Hey everyone, Brian Von Vier here, back at it again with another D&D story. Today we have a first-time poster who's giving us the great story called The Epic Quest of Shortstack the Constable. Can I get this leg fixed, please? First time posting, and have I got what I hope is a real doozy for you. Warnings right up front, this is a bit of a long one and transpires over the course of 2 sessions. I've broken the action up where appropriate in order to help navigate the situation better. I invite you all to join me for the tale of Shortstack, a constable NPC who had been magically shrunken permanently and was sent on an epic quest by my character to find a wizard capable of reattaching his severed leg. First, a bit of a backstory and clarification is in order. Due to often conflicting schedules and a very kind DM to whom I owe a shout out for doing this, thank you again, I often start sessions an hour and a half before the others. I usually have to leave shortly before or after the main session starts due to work conflicts, though now and then I have been able to stay for the full event, and hope to be able to do so more in the future. Because of this, my character is the only one currently relevant for this tale, as it occurred this morning before the start of full session and last week after most of the players for the regular session had already left for the day. My DM and I were simply finding a good stopping point for my character for the day, which led to the interaction that I'm about to share with you. My character is named Arzith Malzarana, hope I got that pronunciation correct. He is a half-orc, half-tiefling who fancies himself what he calls a muscle wizard. What this boils down to in practical terms is a half-orc barbarian who screams "cantrip of punches" before hitting you square in the face and other things like that. He initially left his orc tribe in order to locate his mother, the only family which he feels any particular attachment after his father, Chief Gorgash, pronounced like the words gore and gash back to the back, that's what I tried to do, I'm proud of myself, exiled him from the tribe for using magic during his coming-of-age ceremony. In truth, it was merely a standard punch, but because Arzith screamed "cantrip of punches" before he launched his attack, and because he attested afterward that of course this qualifies as magic, the tribe took him at his word and promptly exiled him. Some shenanigans have resulted from this, including a forest fire started while trying to use a reflective spoon to distract a mechanical jaguar with a laser pointer effect. That's a really oddly specific situation. And the one time several of us fought a mimic disguised as a DJ booth. But the one this story is concerned about started last session and concluded during this morning's session. Due to the intervention of a god and some out-of-character improvisation from the DM, my character is currently addicted to coffee. This was how he eventually found himself in the world's equivalent to Starbucks. I forget the name. In any event, due to a poor roll on my part, he is not just in the mood for coffee, he is agitated about getting some as soon as possible. He was not pleased, therefore, to see the line waiting practically to the door. I decided I would, being a half-orc who is unused to civilized social norms due to his sheltered orcish upbringing, simply, though as gently as I could, push every single person in line out of the way in order to reach the front of the line faster. A less than stellar roll sees me topple most of them over like dominoes, and standing fifth in line by the end of it. The woman up front is the obnoxious, entitled type, and after getting into a verbal altercation with me, emptied the cafe with a fake fire alarm. I convinced the barista to make me a cup of coffee before she evacuated with a halfway decent persuasion roll, then proceeded to stand in the middle of the completely deserted coffee shop, sipping my brew. This is where Shortstack comes in. He is a magically shrunken man about the height of a dwarf or so, who got that way as a result of some sort of issues between this NPC and one of the other PCs. I don't exactly remember which it was before I joined the game. He immediately screams that he is going to arrest me for shoving all those people down and starting a fire, even though the alarm was fake. This is where something odd happens. He turned into a potted petunia. I should mention that due to events in the campaign before I joined, one of the characters had achieved god status, and many times when unusual or impossible phenomena occurred in the world, it was the DM rolling on a chart to see what effects this god would bestow upon the mortal plane below. This time, it was transformation into flowers. This pot of flowers was apparently able to talk telepathically as it continued to threaten me in my mind. My reaction? I simply scooped it up under one arm and walked out the door, still sipping my coffee. I decided to pick a few flowers and put them in the brew to add flavor, but quickly stopped when mental screams of agony resounded through my consciousness. The DM ruled that the flowers enhanced the flavor of my coffee as I drank it, but due to the trauma it apparently caused this potted plant, I refrained from plucking any more flowers from it after that point. I took the pot of psychic flowers outside the city as I was leaving for a while, and my character's absolutely fascinated with anything that he considers to be magical. And a man turning into a potted plant for no apparent reason right in front of him certainly fit the bill. The rest of the session was long, and a lot happened that has no direct bearing on our story, so I will skip ahead a bit. One of the divine pantheon of this world, called Fol, had periodically been checking up on myself and the other party members. This particular time, he offered to take me anywhere I wanted. Arzith opted to see his mother, and was shown the last moment he had ever seen with her when he was still a child. Then, after this was done, Fol put me back into my body, which had been resting on the ground with the magistrate nearby. He will come into the story a bit later, and had me wake up from my sleep. The DM said, "You awake to see a furious short man screaming at you that you are under arrest." This is where the session ended. Then, this morning, we picked up where we had left off. First, I had received a bit more detail. It seems he was standing and hopping on one leg, the other being partially within the cup of coffee I had before. Although it was never stated as such, it seems when I plucked the flowers from the plant, it translated into detaching this man's leg from the rest of his body. I managed to convince him he couldn't arrest me for kidnapping because he was a pot of petunias at the time, and it isn't against the law to carry off a pot of petunias wherever I might go. He then threatened to arrest me for other reasons, screaming for more guards, who began to approach from the distance, coming through the bushes towards our location when I told him he couldn't simply arrest me because he was angry with me. I responded to this by saying that his boss knew I had him in my possession as a potted plant, which is true. I met Shortstack's boss out by the giant swan pond outside the city, and he didn't seem at all distressed by the knowledge. I had held the potted plant out for this person to examine, claiming it was clearly magical, as it had been a person before, and the magistrate had said, "Oh, that's Shortstack," and had left it at that. At this point, Shortstack sits down and begins to sob. Feeling partially responsible, I sit down next to him. I tell him that there are lots of types of wizards in the world. I am a muscle wizard. Some are other kinds of wizards. The world is large, and surely there is a leg-attaching wizard out there somewhere. The DM tells me to roll for persuasion, which I do. I roll low, a 7. This with a +1 modifier to persuasion too, so in reality it was more like a 6. DM rolls a 17. This is on Discord so we can all see each other's rolls. Shortstack is not convinced, saying he has been in these parts for many years and no such wizards live here. Here is where it gets good. I tell him that if no such wizard lives nearby, he should check other parts of the world to find such a wizard. DM tells me to roll nat 20, plus modifiers, so I think it came out to 23 or 24, somewhere in that department. The result was as follows. Shortstack stops blubbering, wiping his face on his tunic. He stands, demanding that I pass him his leg, which I do. He then sets off down the road, using the dismembered leg like a crutch to hobble along, as he begins his journey to search for a wizard capable of reattaching his severed limb. As he walks off, the snickering of the other guards can be heard in the bushes, following him on his way. TLDR. Accidentally severed a magically shrunken constable's leg, then convinced him not to arrest me, and instead go on an epic adventure to find a wizard who can reattach the limb. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, back at it again to check in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and to follow us on our main channel as well, which is mrripper, and ring the bell on both so you can get notified whenever we make a new post or go live on either channel. That said, if you want to submit a story to us, do so on our subreddit r/mrripper. Links to everything and everyone will be in the description below. Using a help action, come say hi to me, Brian Von VA, on Twitch and on YouTube, where I'll occasionally post D&D voice acting videos where I voice your characters. Or, on Twitch, you may on occasion see some behind the scenes where I will actually be reading out stories live that I'm recording for future videos. And you can learn a thing or two about voice acting through that as well. That being said, everybody, please stay safe and happy and healthy. Make sure to take your time with everything you're doing in life, because it's a marathon, not a sprint, not a race. It's a marathon. Take your time with the world and do everything you can the best to your ability. All the love. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.